The moment Malik pressed the override command on his smartwatch, his entire AI surveillance ecosystem came alive with an energy that felt almost sentient. Within seconds, the encrypted footage of the confrontation, every angle, every frame, every word, was auto-synced to his private cloud vault. Malik designed the system not just as a security tool, but as a digital witness, unbiased, unblinking, and incapable of misinterpretation. As he stood at the edge of his pool, still processing the tension of the encounter, millions of pixels silently carried the truth of what had unfolded. The recording captured not only the spoken exchange, but the micro-expressions, the body language, the shaky lapses in procedure. Nothing was missed. When Malik opened the footage on his tablet, he saw the incident from all perspectives at once. The drone's overhead view, the poolside cam, the biometric lens tracking heart rate spikes, and the corridor cam that detected unauthorized entry into his gate line. He knew instantly that releasing the footage would ignite a storm. He also knew that staying silent would mean accepting a narrative that wasn't his. The system had done what it was designed to do, protect him by preserving the truth. And now it was his turn to decide whether the world should see it. He uploaded the footage to his public transparency portal, a page that had never been used until today. Within minutes, the portal received its first 1,000 visitors. Comments began populating the feed. Confusion, shock, disbelief, anger, support. Social media algorithms detected the spike and pushed the video to trending queues across multiple platforms. By the time Malik sat down in his studio to record a short statement, his servers were already absorbing surges of new viewers from around the world. Even major digital rights groups took notice. They reposted the footage with captions like, "Technology doesn't lie," and "This is why smart surveillance matters." Analysts slowed the video down, breaking it apart frame by frame in live streams that attracted tens of thousands of viewers. Malik watched the coverage with a strange mix of detachment and intensity. On one hand, he felt vindicated. On the other hand, it was surreal, seeing his private backyard become a global exhibit. But what truly shook the internet was not the footage alone. It was how flawlessly documented it was. The clarity, the angles, the timestamps, the voice capture, the live metadata tracking. This wasn't shaky cell phone footage or a partial view from a doorbell camera. This was evidence engineered by a cybersecurity mastermind, executed with military-grade precision. The moment the officers approached him by the pool, the sensors had already locked onto their movement. Every step, every gesture, every verbal command had been recorded with merciless accuracy. As the video spread, journalists began publishing breakdowns of how Malik's system worked, how it triggered, and why the technology represented a new era of homeowner protection. Viewers reacted strongly to the realization that the AI had automatically recognized the situation as a threat and initiated its high-alert protocol without Malik having to do anything. The footage showed a seamless transition from calm domestic life to full digital documentation of a developing confrontation, something many people had never seen in action before. Public interest intensified when cybersecurity experts analyzed the footage on news broadcasts. They pointed out details that casual viewers missed: the officers' hesitation when confronted with the cameras, the sudden change in tone after realizing they were being recorded, and the audible uncertainty in their responses when Malik asked whether they had proper authorization. Every technical detail became part of the conversation. The country was no longer debating opinions, it was reviewing evidence with forensic clarity. As reactions flooded in, Malik remained mostly silent, choosing to let the footage speak for itself. His only comment was a short sentence posted on his platform: "This is why I built the system." The simplicity of the statement amplified its impact. It wasn't theatrical. It wasn't emotional. It wasn't accusatory. It was factual, direct, unapologetic, and that made it even more powerful. Some viewers uploaded reaction videos describing how the footage made them rethink home security, property rights, and the importance of documentation. Others used it as a case study in tech forums. Activists adopted it as an example of digital empowerment. Legal advisors referenced it as an illustration of why surveillance transparency mattered. Malik watched all of this unfold, knowing that the spark had only just been struck. The explosion was still forming in the distance. As requests for interviews piled up, news channels, podcasts, technology magazines, legal commentators, Malik declined every offer, not because he was hiding, but because he understood something critical. The story wasn't in his words, the story was in the footage. The truth was already out, and the internet wasn't finished with it yet. Ava arrived at Malik's home the following morning, carrying a leather folder so thin it looked almost empty. Inside it were the preliminary documents she had drafted overnight. Her expression was composed, as though she had walked into a scenario she had already solved in her head. Standing on the marble steps, overlooking Malik's backyard, she assessed the situation with the precision of a surgeon preparing for an intricate procedure. Reporters had gathered outside the gate, waiting for a statement. Drones hovered discreetly overhead, capturing glimpses of the property. The footage had gone global, and Ava knew the next move needed to be surgical. Before stepping out to the press, she reviewed the AI data with Malik. Every audio clip, every timeline marker, every procedural flaw was highlighted. She paused when she reached a segment showing an officer failing to articulate lawful grounds for detainment. Malik noticed the sharp inhale she took at that exact second. It wasn't anger. It was calculation, the moment she mentally arranged her approach for the press conference. Minutes later, Ava walked to the podium set up near the property entrance. The crowd quieted instantly. Cameras pointed toward her like steel flowers turning to the sun. Her presence was controlled, calm, intimidating in its quiet confidence. She began speaking without theatrics, her tone measured and precise as she recounted the sequence of events. She referenced timestamps, she referenced procedural guidelines, she referenced constitutional requirements. Each statement was supported by the footage that had already circulated worldwide. Every time she quoted a moment from the video, the journalists nodded, not because she asked them to believe her, but because they had already seen it themselves. The footage had prepped the audience. Now, Ava was shaping the narrative with surgical clarity. She pointed out inconsistencies between the officers' verbal claims and their documented actions. She highlighted the absence of proper verification steps before entering private property. She explained the legal thresholds required for detainment and how each of those thresholds had been disregarded. Her language was sharp yet restrained, unemotional yet devastating, every sentence struck with the force of a well-aimed hammer. The more she spoke, the more the press leaned in. It became evident Ava wasn't merely recounting misconduct, she was constructing an unbreakable legal framework that exposed the flaws of the entire incident. She spoke of homeowner rights, digital evidence standards, body cam protocol comparisons, and the necessity for clear authorization. Her voice never wavered, her breathing never faltered. She didn't raise her volume a single time, but the gravity of her words amplified her presence more than shouting ever could. When she referenced Malik's AI system, the crowd murmured in recognition. By then, everyone had seen the footage. Attorneys in the audience exchanged glances, already predicting the magnitude of the incoming lawsuit. Analysts scribbled notes rapidly. Tech reporters typed in real time, eager to highlight how the surveillance system had elevated the incident from a simple confrontation to a case study in modern accountability. Ava continued breaking down the situation with such clarity that even viewers with no background in law could follow every point. She dismantled the officer's actions layer by layer, exposing procedural missteps in a manner that felt almost clinical. She didn't insult anyone, she didn't assign emotional blame, she simply displayed the truth through the lens of law, logic, and irrefutable evidence. Her delivery was so precise that even the reporters asking questions afterward found themselves struggling to challenge her statements. Every inquiry was met with a detailed explanation backed by timestamps, regulations, and established legal doctrine. The press conference spread across the internet with the same force as the original footage. gaining traction because viewers recognize the power of competence delivered with restraint. Journalists replayed her statements for hours. Clips of her explaining key legal violations circulated widely. Commentators praised her composure and intellect. By the time Ava returned inside Malik's home, the internet was already calling her press conference one of the most compelling legal breakdowns ever delivered live. And analysts were predicting major consequences for the department involved. Ava placed her folder on Malik's kitchen counter, untouched except for the small notes she had written in the margins during her preparation. Malik stood silently, watching her with a mixture of gratitude and awe. She didn't say anything immediately. Instead, she reviewed additional footage angles, already shaping her next strategic move. Her phone vibrated with messages. Other attorneys, rights organizations, journalists seeking deeper insight. She ignored them, focused solely on examining the material in front of her. The press conference had served its purpose. The world had heard her. Now the legal machinery she controlled was about to start turning, and everyone watching sensed that the incident had evolved from a viral moment into the foundation of a major case. Malik's security network had been designed with layers of intelligence most people would never imagine. It didn't just record video. It analyzed posture, movement patterns, voice tones, stress markers, and environmental anomalies. When the officers stepped onto his property without proper authorization, the system detected a break in expected behavioral parameters. The cameras adjusted their angles automatically, focusing on points of tension, identifying irregularities in verbal commands, and tracking deviations in physical approach that suggested elevated risk. What the world saw in the released footage was only the polished export version. What Malik saw privately was the raw diagnostic feed, dense with metadata. Every frame carried embedded information: body tension levels, spatial measurement, trajectory lines, mapping movement, biometric readings from Malik himself, and a timeline overlay referencing department procedural guidelines programmed into the AI's logic core. As Malik reviewed the system's breakdown after the footage went viral, he realized how devastatingly thorough the evidence was. It wasn't just a recording. It was an analytical dissection of every improper action taken during the confrontation. The system had flagged the moment one officer placed a hand near his holster, labeling it as a non-justified readiness posture. It identified when verbal commands were issued without the required legal basis. It noted the absence of protocol steps typically performed before detainment. These weren't subjective interpretations, they were objective failures. Compared against regulatory standards the AI had been taught. The system displayed each violation in a color-coded sequence, marking movements in red, pauses in amber, and procedural correctness in green. Throughout the entire clip, green was scarce. Malik had built the system for personal protection, never expecting it would one day become a public benchmark for accountability. As the video circulated, analysts took deep interest in the AI overlays. Tech channels uploaded breakdowns, explaining how Malik's system measured officer positioning and recorded inconsistencies. Graphics enthusiasts recreated 3D simulations based on the metadata. Cybersecurity forums erupted in discussion over how such an advanced setup functioned in real time. Malik watched these interpretations with quiet astonishment, seeing his creation become something of a digital phenomenon. Meanwhile, law enforcement professionals observing the footage for their own analysis acknowledged the meticulous detail. Some expressed discomfort at how thoroughly the system captured procedural flaws, while others spoke openly about the future implications of private AI systems operating at this level. Online debates grew heated. If homeowners could own technology this advanced, how would it transform interactions between private citizens and authority? Would this become the new standard? Would it inspire reform? Malik's incident had not only exposed what happened that afternoon, it had revealed a technological future that no longer allowed ambiguity. In news studios, experts discussed how the cameras recognized vocal pitch shifts associated with hesitation. They replayed the moment an officer attempted to justify his presence, only for the AI to tag his statement with an authorization unverified label, indicating the system had cross-checked his claim against the existing database Malik had linked to his home. Viewers couldn't help but feel the weight of how thoroughly the truth was documented. The footage also included heat signatures and pressure plate data from the walkway leading to the pool. People were stunned to see how the system measured unauthorized advancement onto Malik's property, comparing footstep weight distribution to baseline values gathered from previous visitors. Every anomaly was marked, time-stamped, and referenced. It became clear to everyone watching that the system had captured the incident on a level far beyond traditional recording equipment. As the video spread further, groups advocating for digital rights recommended that households adopt similar technology. What began as a private confrontation became a national demonstration of how artificial intelligence, when properly developed and ethically applied, could act as a shield against misconduct. Malik didn't set out to make a statement. He simply built tools that safeguarded the truth. But the world seized those tools and elevated them into a symbol of modern accountability. The public reaction intensified when it became known that the system had automatically uploaded backups to external servers during the incident. The AI detected vocal stress markers in Malik's voice and triggered a redundancy protocol to ensure the footage couldn't be deleted or altered. This alone fascinated millions of viewers who expressed awe at the system's built-in protective instincts. Malik had essentially created a digital guardian that responded to danger faster than any human could. The video's virality wasn't just because of the confrontation. It was because the system recorded everything in a way that allowed no debate. The clarity, the precision, the metadata, every element contributed to the undeniable reality that the officers had breached protocol. Commentators marveled at the implications, with some stating that this was the moment society crossed into a new era where technology not only witnessed events, but interpreted and archived them with unparalleled accuracy. Malik's inbox overflowed with requests from people wanting similar systems for their homes, businesses, and personal safety. He wasn't expecting this reaction, but he recognized its significance. The public no longer wanted to rely on outdated methods of recording and documentation. They wanted certainty. They wanted truth that could be validated. Malik's system had shown them what that looked like. As the story continued to swell, Malik kept returning to the raw footage, not because he doubted what happened, but because he understood something deeper. The moment the system activated, its purpose expanded. It didn't just protect him. It protected the truth in a way that could no longer be denied, debated, or lost in subjective retelling. The morning after the release, the footage was everywhere. News tickers, podcasts, live stream analyses, legal commentary channels, influencer reaction videos, and trending lists across multiple platforms. Malik's backyard had become the backdrop to a national dialogue about accountability and homeowner rights. What made the conversation different from past events was the incontrovertible nature of the evidence. It wasn't based on memory or personal interpretation. It was documented through an AI system incapable of bias, inconsistency, or omission. Networks broadcast long-form discussions, dissecting how the incident unfolded and the broader implications for privacy and property law. Experts debated how much authority officers should have when interacting with homeowners on private property. Viewers posted countless comments, sharing their own experiences with misunderstandings or procedural missteps. Overnight, Malik had inadvertently opened a floodgate of stories, concerns, and demands for reform. Civil liberties groups released statements analyzing the incident, citing the need for stronger verification protocols before officers approach private residences. Legal scholars reviewed the footage and publicly addressed potential violations of due process. Social media erupted with threads breaking down the applicable laws in simple terms, helping millions understand where the confrontation had crossed legal boundaries. Household rights suddenly became a hot topic. People questioned whether they truly understood their own legal protections. Others asked if technological advancements like Malik's system should be standardized across neighborhoods. The conversation broadened from a single confrontation into a national reflection on security, privacy, and documentation. Malik didn't intend to ignite such a large-scale conversation, but the clarity of the footage demanded attention. Politicians weighed in, some calling for improved officer training protocols, others advocating for revised homeowner guidelines. Some introduced discussions about tech-backed transparency systems that could become part of official procedure. Malik watched lawmakers debate the implications of his technology as though it were already part of national infrastructure. It astonished him how quickly the incident transcended his property and became a reference point for systemic change. Newscasters replayed scenes from the footage, pausing at critical timestamps, highlighting legal inconsistencies and procedural lapses. Technology channels focused on the AI system, explaining how it detected authorization failures and triggered its recording and backup protocols. Ethics commentators discussed the philosophical implications of AI capturing human interactions at such a detailed level. What started as a footage release evolved into a sweeping debate about the intersection of law, privacy, and technology. The homeowners community became one of the most vocal groups impacted by the footage. Forums filled with discussions about best practices for personal security, what to do if faced with unexpected authority presence, and how to leverage technology to protect their homes. People who previously never considered a security upgrade were suddenly investing in advanced monitoring systems. Malik's story had become a blueprint for modern self-protection. Insurance companies even released statements acknowledging the rise of AI-assisted claims, noting how clear documentation could streamline dispute resolutions. The ripple effects extended into industries Malik never imagined his footage would influence. His inbox filled with requests to speak at conferences, tech summits, and legal forums. But Malik remained silent publicly, understanding that anything he said could shift the narrative in unpredictable ways. The debate grew more intense as investigative journalists discovered additional context around the officer's approach, details that further raised questions about their adherence to protocol. Media outlets published timelines comparing what happened on Malik's property to what official guidelines required in similar situations. This comparison fueled even deeper public scrutiny, intensifying pressure on relevant departments to respond. Meanwhile, think tanks examined the potential societal benefits of AI-driven truth documentation. They speculated about the future of transparency in all fields: law enforcement, public service, transportation, healthcare, and conflict resolution. Malik watched as experts argued over the ethical balance between privacy and accuracy, questioning whether future generations would see events primarily through AI lenses designed to detect honesty and procedural adherence. Communities across the country held town hall discussions referencing the incident as a catalyst for revisiting their local policies. Malik's story was mentioned repeatedly in these meetings, cited as an example of why homeowners needed clear rights and trusted processes. People wanted assurance that what happened to him would not happen to them, and they saw the power of documentation as the foundation of that assurance. Commentators on national broadcasts questioned how many incidents from the past might have ended differently had this level of clarity existed. Some argued that AI-based truth systems should be integrated into everyday life to protect both citizens and officers. Others worried about privacy concerns and potential misuse. Regardless of viewpoint, everyone agreed that the incident marked a turning point. A wave of legal blogs published articles outlining homeowner protections using Malik's footage as a case study. Readers flooded these posts with comments seeking clarification, sharing their own situations and expressing concerns about gaps in understanding the law. It became clear that Malik's incident tapped into a deep societal uncertainty about personal rights during unexpected confrontations. The debate eventually expanded beyond national borders, with international outlets covering the story, analyzing how Malik's AI system could influence global standards for documentation and accountability. Foreign commentators compared their country's homeowner rights with those shown in the footage, sparking conversations far beyond the original incident. As all of this unfolded, Malik focused quietly on reviewing additional footage, preparing documents with Ava, and analyzing the broader reaction. He wasn't surprised by the intensity, but he was struck by how quickly the nation embraced the conversation. The footage had exposed more than misconduct. It exposed a widespread need for clarity, protection, and truth in situations where ambiguity had caused conflict for decades. When Ava stepped back inside Malik's home after the press conference, she carried with her not only the attention of the nation, but the responsibility of shaping a case that would inevitably become a defining moment in modern legal discourse. Malik watched as she spread out the initial documents across his kitchen island, which now resembled a war table more than a place for family meals. She studied the footage on one screen, the procedural guidelines on another, and the preliminary statements she had drafted on a third. Every detail mattered, and Ava approached it with the precision of someone who understood exactly how much weight her next move carried. The phone on the counter buzzed constantly. Law firms asking to collaborate, journalists asking for statements, advocacy groups asking permission to reference the footage. Ava ignored them all. Her focus was fixed on the intersection between the documented actions and the legal framework that governed them. She read through the time-stamped transcript produced by Malik's AI system, pausing occasionally to highlight sections where phrases or commands violated regulations regarding detainment, property entry, or identification requirements. The more she annotated, the clearer the structural outline of her lawsuit became. She turned the tablet toward Malik and pointed at a line where the AI marked a procedural deviation with a red indicator. "This alone supports 3 separate claims," she said in a tone so steady it felt like a verdict rather than an observation. Malik nodded, though he still felt the surreal weight of the situation. To him, this incident had been a terrifying intrusion. To Ava, it was a legal breach so cleanly documented it appeared almost engineered for litigation. Her calmness reminded him why she was among the most respected attorneys in her field. After hours of preparation, Ava stepped outside again, not for another press conference, but to address the group of reporters still camped beyond the property line. The moment she appeared, cameras turned, microphones lifted, and voices murmured in anticipation. She stood behind the small wooden podium Malik had placed by the gate and began speaking with a clarity that resonated across every channel, broadcasting her live. She announced the lawsuit in clear terms: a civil action addressing procedural misconduct, unlawful detainment, unauthorized property entry, and systemic failure in protocol adherence. She emphasized that the case was not driven by outrage but by evidence, not by emotion but by documentation. The reporters scribbled furiously as she listed each point supported by the AI footage, each timestamp illustrating a legal violation, each detail forming the foundation of a lawsuit that would be impossible to dismiss. Ava explained that the legal action would pursue not only individual accountability but procedural reform. She presented the incident as an opportunity for structural correction, something that could benefit homeowners and authorities alike by clarifying boundaries and reinforcing verified processes. Her voice remained calm throughout, but the underlying firmness carried a force that many viewers described as unshakable. The nation reacted instantly. News platforms began running live banners, major lawsuit filed following viral backyard incident. Commentators speculated about the potential outcomes. Analysts compared Ava's legal strategy to some of the most influential civil cases of the decade. Within hours, discussions about homeowner rights and verification protocols dominated online spaces. Malik's backyard footage was no longer a moment of conflict. It was the foundation of a case that legal experts were calling potentially transformative. As Ava returned inside the house after her announcement, she found Malik standing near the window, watching helicopters hover in the distance. He looked at her with a mixture of gratitude and astonishment at the way she'd turned chaos into structured action. Ava didn't pause for thanks. She went back to her folder, jotting down more notes, marking more timestamps, preparing for the next phase. Her relentless momentum made it clear that the lawsuit was only the beginning of a much larger fight. Across the country, law schools began using short clips from the footage as hypothetical case studies. Students analyzed what could have been done differently, how regulations should have been followed, and how AI technology acted as a neutral witness in the scenario. Meanwhile, citizens from all backgrounds sent messages to Malik expressing their support, their concerns, and their own stories of facing unexpected confrontations. Malik realized the lawsuit wasn't just his and Ava's. It belonged to everyone who saw something familiar in the footage. Ava began assembling a legal team composed of experts in constitutional procedure, digital evidence authentication, and emergency response protocol. Every person she contacted agreed to join within minutes, some without even asking about compensation. The case had become bigger than any of them individually. It was a chance to define the boundaries of authority in an era where AI served as a flawless witness. Ava's reputation only amplified the momentum behind the lawsuit. Many believed she was the only attorney capable of steering a case of this scale with such steady command. While Ava drafted the official filing, Malik continued reviewing his AI system logs, exporting clean versions for legal use, and securing redundant backups across multiple encrypted servers. He felt a strange sense of partnership between himself and the technology he had built. Every data point, every audio snippet, every frame had become part of the legal architecture Ava was constructing. Malik had built the system to protect his home, but now it was protecting something much larger. By the time Ava completed the lawsuit documents, they spanned hundreds of pages, each section supported by video evidence, digital analytics, procedural cross-references, and constitutional footnotes. She reviewed the final draft meticulously before sending it to her litigation team. As the documents were transferred to the courthouse electronically, Malik sensed the beginning of a shift that would extend far beyond his personal experience. The lawsuit wasn't just a response to the confrontation, it was the beginning of a case that would test the strength of truth when fortified by technology. The backbone of the lawsuit was the AI-powered recording itself, a piece of evidence so comprehensive that even seasoned legal professionals struggled to find precedents for its depth. Traditional video footage captured moments. Malik's system captured dimensions, angles, metrics, behavioral analysis, environmental conditions, and compliance checks, all layered into a single sequence. For Ava, it was not just evidence, but a fully self-contained legal narrative, each timestamp a chapter, each overlay a supporting argument. The recording began long before the confrontation itself. The system had logged the officers' approach from the moment their vehicle passed the outer perimeter sensors. Malik's AI tracked their route, measured their pace, and analyzed their interaction with the property's automated gate notifications. These early frames revealed inconsistencies between the officers' later verbal claims and their actual action. Ava highlighted these moments in her casework, using them to illustrate pre-contact procedural lapses. As the officers walked onto the property, the pressure-sensitive walkway generated force-mapping visuals, identifying where footsteps diverted from the authorized path. The AI labeled these diversions as unauthorized advancement zones, a feature Malik originally built for preventing trespassing or nighttime intrusion. To Ava, these labels provided irrefutable proof that the officers had entered areas they were not permitted to access. When the confrontation unfolded near the pool, the primary cameras switched into high-resolution tactical mode, capturing micro-expressions, gesture cues, and proximity markers. The AI system interpreted the officer's tone, comparing it to a baseline database of compliant communication protocols. It detected irregularities in their vocal patterns, marking each irregularity with a timestamp and categorization label. Some were flagged as unverified directive, others as ambiguous command, and several as procedure nonconformity. Ava integrated these AI labels directly into her legal documentation. They served as objective indicators, free from human interpretation. She understood that judges and juries responded differently when evidence came from a system designed to record without bias. The AI gave her case structural integrity, hard numbers, observable inconsistencies, and factual analysis. Meanwhile, Malik's system had also recorded his own physiological responses, heart rate increases, vocal strain, and stress signatures. Ava didn't use these to portray emotional impact. She used them to highlight the measurable pressure Malik faced during the incident. The AI tracked when Malik's stress markers spiked and correlated those spikes to specific procedural failures. This correlation allowed her to present emotional distress as quantifiable data rather than subjective feeling. Beyond the visuals and biometrics, the AI audio capture provided another layer of evidence. It isolated each voice, separating overlapping speech, identifying tone shifts, and marking exact moments where responses failed to align with required standards of communication. Experts who reviewed the audio were astonished at how cleanly the system differentiated environmental noise from relevant dialogue. Ava used these audio analyses to dissect contradictions in statements made during the confrontation. One of the system's most critical features was its procedural compliance checker. Malik had programmed the AI to cross-reference officer actions with publicly available departmental guidelines. When the AI detected a violation, it logged it automatically. During the confrontation, multiple logs appeared, each detailing a different breach. Ava treated these logs as expert testimony generated by the system's logic framework, something far more consistent than a human witness could offer. As legal analysts reviewed the recording, many recognized the unique strength of AI-supported evidence. The footage wasn't emotionally charged or interpretive. It was a neutral record capturing a sequence of events with mathematical accuracy. For Ava, this allowed the case to focus purely on the facts. No embellishment was necessary. The recording's impact extended beyond the lawsuit itself. Journalists used the footage to demonstrate how AI could redefine documentation standards. Technology publications praised Malik's system for achieving something that had previously been thought impossible outside high-security facilities. Viewers, attorneys, lawmakers, and analysts all saw the same thing: a piece of digital evidence so thorough it left no room for doubt. As Ava prepared the next phase of litigation, she kept the AI recording open on one of Malik's screens, playing it in slow motion, stopping it, rewinding it, isolating specific moments. Every frame offered another angle to support her case, another detail to strengthen her argument, another timestamp that validated her strategy. Malik watched her work, realizing that the fusion of his technology and her legal mind had become an unstoppable force. Public expectations grew rapidly. People wondered how the opposing legal team would respond to evidence that recorded itself with such precision. Commentators openly questioned whether it was even possible to argue against something so meticulously documented. Ava didn't pay attention to these discussions. She remained focused on assembling the evidence into a form that no courtroom could ignore, working through every second of the footage with unwavering concentration. Each segment of the recording reinforced the core of her argument. Each analytic overlay acted as another pillar supporting the lawsuit. Each procedural marker gave her another point of reference. And through it all, Malik recognized that this was more than just evidence. It was the central and unshakable foundation upon which Ava was building one of the most important cases of her career. Within hours of the footage circulating, comment sections across every major platform exploded with reactions. Some viewers replayed the confrontation frame by frame, stunned by the clarity and precision of the AI system documenting each moment. Others posted live stream breakdowns, their voices tight with disbelief as they examined every gesture and command captured in ultra-high definition. The public gravitated toward the rawness of the scene. An ordinary afternoon disrupted without warning, recorded so cleanly that nothing could be dismissed or misinterpreted. Reaction channels uploaded rapid analyses, while influencers stitched their responses. expressing how the footage made them rethink privacy, protocol, and personal safety. Clips of the confrontation topped trending lists, generating millions of views within a single night, as audiences around the world debated how such an intrusion could unfold so quickly and why technology had become the only reliable witness. As the footage continued spreading, Ava's legal team issued a formal request for a comprehensive internal review, citing multiple points of procedural failure visible in the recording. They highlighted the absence of proper verification steps, the unauthorized approach past the gate threshold, and the lack of clear justification for the officer's detainment attempt. The request circulated through official channels and leaked to the press within minutes, prompting widespread discussion about accountability standards and departmental oversight. Commentators analyzed the legal demand, recognizing it as a strategic first step towards systemic correction. Viewers who had watched the footage felt validated, noting how the AI overlays aligned with the legal team's concerns. The call for review gained momentum online, amplified by public support and the undeniable clarity of the recorded evidence. The online community quickly transformed the incident into a rallying point for tech-driven accountability, sharing clips, analysis threads, and calls for stronger homeowner protections. People praised how Malik's system documented every detail with precision, inspiring discussions about integrating similar technology into everyday security. Advocacy groups referenced the footage in campaigns promoting digital evidence standards, while creators across platforms emphasized how technology had shifted power back toward transparency. The momentum grew as viewers recognized the incident as more than a confrontation. It became a symbol of how intelligent systems could safeguard truth. The public's reaction intensified as more viewers discovered the footage, expressing disbelief at how quickly a peaceful moment escalated under improper procedure. Many described feeling immersed in the scene due to the clarity of the recording, noting how the AI's perspective revealed details they might have missed otherwise. Comment sections filled with discussions about rights, verification steps, and the importance of unbiased digital documentation. Livestream hosts replayed key moments, encouraging audiences to consider how easily similar situations could unfold. The widespread response turned Malik's experience into a national point of reflection. Undoubtedly, Ava's legal team gathered in Malik's home office, transforming the room into a strategic headquarters filled with screens looping the AI footage, stacks of procedural documents, and timelines pinned across the wall. Every member of the team, experts in constitutional law, digital evidence interpretation, emergency response regulation, and civil liberties, studied the material with a level of precision that reflected both the gravity of the incident and the unprecedented clarity of the evidence. They dissected the video from multiple perspectives: the officer's approach, the gate alert logs, the absence of proper verification steps, the verbal inconsistencies, the gestures marked by the AI system as procedural deviations, and the moments where uncertainty in their tone signaled awareness of their own protocol breaches. Ava moved between the displays with practiced calm, identifying each moment that supported the framework she envisioned for the case. Every second of the footage was treated not as a single event, but as a layered sequence filled with implications. The AI-generated timestamps became reference points for illustrating when required actions should have been taken but weren't. The compliance checker logs highlighted every procedural failure in unforgiving detail, each labeled with a digital marker that could be traced back to official guidelines. The team paused at moments where Malik asked for justification and received unclear or incomplete answers, noting the hesitation in the officers' voices and the way the AI's tone-matching feature highlighted inconsistencies that would become central points in court. They cataloged biometric data showing the rise of Malik's stress levels in direct correlation with protocol violations, planning to use it not as emotional appeal, but as quantifiable evidence demonstrating the tangible impact the confrontation had on him. Ava noted how the system's internal logic flagged several officer commands as unverified directive, emphasizing that the AI identified procedural errors in real time without needing human interpretation. The team examined these flags carefully, mapping each one to legal statutes. Discussion stretched for hours as they examined how the internal review request aligned with the lawsuit's structure. The team outlined multiple claims built on the footage alone, then added layers based on dispatch logs, communication breakdowns, and regulatory requirements. When's what the proceedings had. Each attorney contributed their expertise. One focused on structural reform implications, another drafted the sections addressing unlawful detainment, another cross-referenced guidelines for property entry, while a digital evidence specialist ensured every piece of AI-generated metadata met admissibility standards. Malik watched the process unfold with a mix of awe and detachment. His home office, typically a space for innovation and quiet focus, had become a command center for legal precision. Screens that once displayed cybersecurity algorithms now projected diagrams of timelines and procedural deviations. His AI interface, designed to simplify complex data into neat reports, had become one of the most crucial components of the case. The system's reliability became the backbone of Ava's strategy, and every team member treated it as a trusted witness whose testimony was encoded in data. Ava continued shaping the case narrative, aware that the nation was watching. The clarity of the footage had elevated public expectations, and any misstep could undermine the momentum the truth had already built. She refined her arguments until each claim flowed seamlessly into the next, supported not by speculation but by verifiable evidence. She cross-referenced every timestamp with at least two other forms of validation: audio analysis, motion detection, and procedural checklists, ensuring that the lawsuit would be structurally sound from every angle. The team planned their court filings, strategic rollout, and response preparations for expected counterarguments. They prepared expert witnesses, including specialists in AI system interpretation, digital forensics, and emergency protocol compliance. Every possible question the opposition might raise was preemptively addressed with evidence, diagrams, or legal precedent. Ava knew the opposing counsel would attempt to challenge the reliability of the AI system, so she assembled documentation proving its calibration accuracy, industry standard compliance, and independence from human error. As the night deepened, the intensity in the room grew rather than faded. Coffee cups accumulated on desks, but no one paused. Each new discovery in the footage sparked another round of strategy refinement. Ava and Malik occasionally exchanged silent nods of mutual understanding. He had built the system to protect himself, and she was now using it to protect the integrity of the process. The atmosphere carried the quiet certainty of a team preparing not just a lawsuit, but a legal landmark. They drafted motions demanding additional internal documents, cross-checking them with the timeline produced by Malik's AI. The alignment of these elements painted a more detailed picture of the incident, revealing not only the improper approaches but also systemic failures in verification protocols. Ava shaped these findings into the foundation of her accountability case, ensuring that each piece of evidence served a dual purpose: proving what happened on Malik's property and demonstrating how structural improvements could prevent similar situations in the future. Throughout the process, the team maintained a unified focus. They weren't building their arguments on assumptions or interpretations, they were building them on data, facts, and verifiable procedures. Malik felt an unexpected sense of reassurance as he watched Ava command the room. Her poise, combined with the technical precision of his AI system, formed an alliance between law and technology unlike anything he had imagined when he first designed it. The case grew stronger with each passing hour, its foundation rooted in the irrefutable clarity of the digital witness that never looked away. The incident fundamentally changed the way the world viewed smart home systems. Malik's technology, once admired quietly within cybersecurity circles, suddenly became a symbol of what modern protection could look like when designed with foresight, precision, and an understanding of human vulnerability. The confrontation demonstrated in real time how a properly built system could recognize danger, document truth, and preserve evidence in a way no human witness could match. When the officers first stepped onto Malik's property, the perimeter sensors registered the intrusion before any spoken words were exchanged. The system switched from passive monitoring to high-lip mode, triggering an automated sequence designed to capture every detail. A soft chime echoed through Malik's smart devices, an alert he had grown accustomed to hearing only during testing phases. The AI initiated multiple recording protocols at once, pulling data from roof mount cameras, garden lens microcams, walkway pressure plates, and audio nodes embedded discreetly throughout the property. This synchronized capture allowed the system to create a multi-perspective documentation far more complete than a single lens could provide. As the officers approached the pool area, the system recognized the escalation by analyzing their pace, posture, and vocal tones. The AI's threat assessment module detected irregularities in command structure, triggering an additional layer of recording with enhanced audio clarity and movement prediction overlays. These overlays, visible later in the public release, highlighted each deviation with precise labels, transforming the footage into a comprehensive report rather than a simple video. Meanwhile, the biometric sensors on Malik's wrist synced with the home network, creating a real-time record of his physiological responses. Malik didn't activate these features manually. They triggered automatically when the system detected a confrontation. His elevated heart rate prompted the AI to begin redundant cloud backups to external servers, ensuring that no data could be lost or compromised. Malik felt the faint vibration from his smartwatch, signaling the activation of emergency protocols, a reminder of the countless hours he had invested in designing these safeguards. The system's communication log captured the exact moment Malik asked for procedural justification. It also recorded the hesitation in the officer's response, translating vocal uncertainty into measurable metrics. The AI compared each command issued to the procedural guidelines stored within its internal database, flagging those that lacked proper grounds or clarity. The flags became invaluable in Ava's legal strategy, serving as objective indicators of procedural deviations without any need for human interpretation. As the confrontation intensified, the system adjusted lighting levels to ensure optimal clarity for recording. The poolside cameras automatically shifted their frame rates to preserve detail in sudden movements. Even the acoustics adapted as the AI minimized background noise, wind, water, faint outdoor sounds, so the dialogue remained crisp. The system wasn't reacting emotionally. It was following logic routines Malik had built years earlier. When the officers realized they were being recorded, subtle behavioral shifts occurred. Shifts the AI captured immediately. Their tones softened, their gestures became less abrupt, and their approach slowed. The system logged these changes under behavioral adaptation markers, illustrating how awareness of documentation altered conduct. These markers fascinated commentators who later examined the footage, sparking conversations about transparency and accountability in real-world interactions. The moment the officers left the property, the system maintained high alert mode until their vehicle exited the range of the perimeter sensors. Only then did it downgrade the security level and finalize the recording sequence. Malik checked his device and saw multiple notifications confirming file integrity, server synchronization, and full metadata generation. Every detail was preserved: the steps, the voices, the movement patterns, the timestamps, the compliance evaluations, and even ambient measurements. When Malik later reviewed the raw footage, he saw not just a recording of the confrontation, but a complete, multi-layered account of everything that happened. The system had documented the incident with a precision that surpassed human memory and traditional cameras. This completeness was what propelled the footage to national significance. Viewers saw a confrontation, but analysts saw architecture, security infrastructure functioning exactly as it was designed to, performing at a level that left no room for doubt. The smartwatch logs, the camera transitions, the pressure plate activations, the metadata overlays, the compliance analyzer, all of it created a narrative stitched together by technology rather than subjective recollection. Malik had built the system to protect his home, but during the confrontation, it revealed a wider purpose, establishing an objective, trustworthy standard for truth in moments of conflict. As public conversations expanded, experts highlighted the incident as evidence of how smart home technology could evolve beyond convenience and comfort into a powerful tool for safeguarding rights, documenting reality, and providing clarity in situations where clarity was often lost. Malik listened to these discussions with a strange combination of pride and solemnity. He had created the system to anticipate danger, not national attention, yet here it was, becoming a reference point for how truth could be captured with precision when human perception faltered. The incident reshaped Malik's relationship with his own creation. The technology had operated exactly as intended, responding with intelligence, speed, and neutrality. It had captured not just what happened, but how it happened, why it escalated, and where procedure broke down. The AI had revealed itself to be more than a guardian of property. It was a guardian of truth, responding with a steadiness that humans often couldn't maintain under pressure. Malik realized how deeply the system had intertwined itself with the moment. It wasn't just reacting to danger, it was preserving clarity in a world where clarity was often contested. The technology stood firm when everything around it felt uncertain, becoming the silent anchor that held the entire sequence together. As he replayed the footage, Malik understood that the system had fulfilled its purpose with unwavering precision, proving its value in the most unexpected and consequential way. In a world where truth can be twisted, this story reminds us of one thing: evidence never lies. Malik's smart home system didn't just record an incident, it exposed the reality behind it and ignited a national conversation. And this is only the beginning. If you felt that moment when the footage shifted everything, if you felt the shock, the tension, or the spark of justice rising, then don't let this story end here. Hit that subscribe button so you're here for part 3 and every breakthrough to come. Drop a comment and tell me your reaction to the footage. Your voice becomes part of the movement. Like, share, and push this message out as far as it can reach, because stories like this aren't just entertainment. They're fuel for change, clarity, and accountability. You're not just watching, you're part of the force that keeps the truth alive.